MultiCon. How we doing, everybody? About 30 days ago, for those that weren't here earlier, we had the crazy idea of putting on an amazing fandom convention to benefit the wildfire recovery efforts. I don't know how, but we are here right now, and the folks that are about to come to the stage are some of the most extraordinary creators in their fields. I mean, these guys are legends, and the fact that I'm opening up for the guy that's opening up for them, it's something else. So our amazing moderator for this one is a very dear friend of mine. You might recognize him. We sometimes have some fun on the Real Rejects. It's the one, the only, Jandreau.
How's it going, everybody? I always start my shows with internet, and it's so nice to not do that here. It is so lovely to see each and every one of you in 3D. I am so honored to be part of this panel, but before he leaves the stage, I got to give credit to this man right here. This is so largely thanks to him, and bringing the internet together in real life is thanks to this man. So all the love to Michael Tesler for doing this. I've been courted.
This is the nicest man on the internet, just so you know.
Except on Twitter. Don't go on Twitter.
They had it coming, Coy.
And I would love to bring up three of my favorite people, three of my favorite creators, three of the people that helped me discover why comics are, in my opinion, the greatest medium of art on the planet. First up, the one and only Kevin Smith. If this man right here hadn't started doing Evening with Kevin Smiths, I would not be right here. And if Mallrats didn't exist, I wouldn't know other people talked about comics. This man right here is my absolute hero, Kevin Smith, everybody.
Hi.
And then I hope they're in earshot because I don't see them yet. We've got the man who created one of my favorite characters of all time, a movie trilogy that has made so much money, it's absurd. And a character that I think actually represents the internet at large in itself, among so many other characters. Bring it to the table, Mr. Rob Liefeld, creator of Deadpool, Cable, so much other glory. And then, a man who also needs no introduction, but it's my whole job, so I better introduce him. You might be enjoying Invincible. Yeah, Invincible! I see it, Invincible! Yeah. You might have heard of this show, The Walking Dead. You might read Skybound comics. Robert Kirkman himself! Yeah. It's like a Hall H walk to get up here, though. It's like a long moment. All right, how's it going, guys?
It's going great. Hey, thanks for being here, everybody. Thank you so much.
Yeah, every single dollar you guys put to get here is actually helping. And I always say cons are the opposite of the internet because it's just kindness to meet people and celebrate fandom. You guys went the next level and are actually helping people in this magical city, so thank you.
We're just three guys who didn't check the weather before we came here today.
No fucking shit, man.
Although Kevin's legs did.
I'm sitting here the whole time Coy was talking. I was like, and I had to wear a vest as well. There's 3 layers, man. I should peel.
I was like, it's outside. I'm going to be freezing my ass off. I better bring a sweater.
I better bring a hoodie.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was going to be outside.
So we're 4 guys known for loving comic books and definitely known for our brevity. Very short-winded gentlemen on this stage. But I don't think any of us have ever sat down as like a round table conversation. So I went through my usual 27 hours of prepping and James Liptoning this. And then I was like, wait, I'm so much more curious to have an actual round table dynamic of what's going on in the world because this is such a one-of-one thing. The Robs are like best friends, and that always makes me happy. Kevin is best friend to all. This is like a team of capybaras up here.
I know Kevin. Kevin's my buddy.
Yeah.
I wasn't causing rivalries. I was showing unity. So I would love to kick this off with the great unifier for all of us is the medium of comic books. And we, and especially you guys, have all seen the great evolution of what comics have changed and become. And you're also formative to the 90s, 2000s, and today. What's your favorite element about how comics have evolved to where they are right now? What is the best thing that's changed for the good?
For me, the fact that like so many, not so many, that's unfair. I saw a bunch of people online bitch about Captain America, the recent Captain America. And to me, I was like, man, we, and I'm sure the boys will attest to it as well, grew up in an era where it's like we were never going to get a Captain America movie where he fought a Hulk, where the leader was at spoilers. Like, there's so much in it to enjoy. And I know, like, you know, we've had so many comic book movies now that you get to judge them against one another if that's your thing and stuff. And I saw a lot of people get mad at me online because I wouldn't rage against a movie of all things. But I
Go negative, Kevin.
I know they want it so bad, and I'm like, they've got that everywhere on the internet. Like, you don't need that from me. So I like at the end when the credits rolled and whatnot. You know, I talked to people before the movie, and they were like, but I was like, we never had that growing up. So I'm 54. I'm still delighted, and I'm a filmmaker, but I'm not a good one. So I don't like go to movies and sit back and fucking judge them, right? Like, generally, I go to a movie and just become an audience member, man. I came from the audience, and I'll return to the audience again one day, and I still do it all throughout my career. So as an audience member and as a comic book fan or as a director, I never go in with anything but like I'm slobberingly grateful they're doing. I couldn't believe they made a fucking Craven movie, man. I didn't see it, but I couldn't fucking believe they made it. Like,
That's the crazy thing. We live at a time where there's a Craven movie and we didn't
missed
go
it.
see it.
I know.
We were like, eh.
So true. So I appreciate that. I wish it was easier for comic book retailers. I'm one. You're one as well, right? Don't you have a store?
I do not.
You don't have a store? With all your fucking money? Robert's like the richest person I know.
I only make good investments.
In dead things.
That is the answer to who's the richest person in comics. It's him. Don't let anyone tell you anything different. I hear people say other people's names, and I go, are you high?
Yeah. Only a rich man would wear a sweater in weather like this.
This is not what I signed up for.
Sure it is.
I'm not gonna get out of here alive.
Kids, I don't want to alarm anybody,
Extra
but
security for Mr. Kirkman.
yes.
Rob, how about you? What are you loving the most? right now?
I echo what Kevin is saying, but with my 3 kids as they grew up and my boys watching the ease with which they interacted with superheroes and how much they love superheroes, and you haven't lived until you worked in comics. I guess I've been in comics 40 years. I think it was around 30 years old when my son, my oldest son, Luke, turned to me and said, "Hey, Dad, I'm an MCU fan, okay? I'm not a comic book fan, all right? I'm an MCU fan." And you go, well, the studio part really loves that, but he loves it. He loves the. It was like, Dad, that's my thing. It's how it was said to me.
Were you like, hold my beer, man? Like,
No, but it's cool. And look, like for his 16th birthday, the entire varsity basketball team, we took them to see Civil War, and we all, we got them the front row, the IMAX seats, and I just told my wife, I'm like, this was not happening in 1984. Like the outward love of comic books, and it's so awesome. I may or may not have hid some of my comics in my peachy folder growing up because I didn't want to be harassed and called the nerd because I was trying too hard to fit in. But now comic books are everywhere. They're on all your shirts, and they're just commonplace. So that's my shorter
Bunch
answer.
of nerds.
Is that us?
The Biff collars really just bringing out this energy. How about you, Robert? What are you enjoying most other than like the abundance of Funko Pops you and I get to throw at people at cons?
Oh, that's fun. I get in trouble for that. But
Yeah, I remember that. That was dark.
So yeah, we did a panel with Funko, and I threw a prototype into the audience, and they about lost their minds.
Oh, 1 of 1, and I had to host and go like, can we have that back? You know what that's worth. Oh, no.
I was so mad though because they were standing off to the side at the panel. No one wants to hear this story. And I looked over with it, and I was like, and they all stood there like this. And so I was like, all right, whoo, and then they came alive.
I'm sure they were like, why does Kirkman want to jerk us off?
Do you need a reason? But I don't know. I mean, everybody in our generation remembers having that time where you were like, had a girlfriend and you were like, well, it's about that time where I've got to reveal to her that I read comics. Let's see how this goes. But yeah, now it's like, you can't go to a theme park without seeing the most obscure comic book shirts. Like, oh, the Beyonder on a shirt. All right. Where'd you get that? Target?
And I definitely want to narrow it down specifically and come back this way. I love that Invincible Season 3 feels like a sporting event. I love that every week there are literally people that have watch parties. There are people that do like, we're at the point of nerddom where there are people gathering around an independent comic that I was trying to get people to understand why I couldn't put down growing up. Yeah. And now it's the zeitgeist. And I love that even things like making a suit darker, mirroring like the symbiote suit is like, yeah, of course. Like, people know the stuff that I would hide from others growing up. Yeah. As someone that made this art, what's it like to see your children out there specifically knowing that people are celebrating it to a scale that couldn't have happened 20 years ago?
It's crazy, and it's this climate where there's a fourth Captain America movie that has Harrison Ford playing the Hulk that makes Invincible work, because Invincible as a comic 20 years ago was made for the most savviest comic book reader that had been reading 30 years of DC Comics and 30 years of Marvel Comics and knew all the ins and outs of that stuff, so that we could kind of, play to what people expected a superhero comic to do, and then do something different and try to shake things up. And now we're able to do that in the show because everybody's so familiar with all the movies and TV shows and stuff. It's really crazy that it works, that the general audience has been primed with this stuff so well that they're like, oh yeah, that guy's I think's kind of making fun of superheroes or like doing like the complete opposite of what you would expect it to do. So yeah.
And Rob, you just had Deadpool Team Up #5 come out last week, and that was your big farewell to the Merc with the Mouth from your own pencil, your goodbye to the character. And I'm obviously a huge fan of Deadpool, but I really love how much you care about your work. I love that you have maintained a passion throughout time. It's not been something like, I made it and now it's out there. You've had this commitment and love, and spoilers for the end of a comic that came out last week. I'm sorry, it's a window of time I'm going to accept. You're in the thing. Yeah. And I love that you even are like, well, now I'm canon too. This is my experience. What's it been like for you to see not just Deadpool rise, but also to have Deadpool 2 reference you, to have Deadpool 3 have a trailer with your name in it as a joke, but also to then put yourself back in to complete the Ouroboros?
So I appreciate that. That's very kind. What I would tell you is, and I've often thought, you get older, and Kevin said he was 54. I'm 57. I'm not a young guy anymore, and I give less of a shit every day. and I look back at my 19, 20-year-old self, and look, I went to all the conventions, and every time, I'm born and raised in Southern California, and when Chris Claremont or George Perez would come out here, I would go to the store, I would stand at the side of the table, I would listen to the stories, and Chris, to his it's a positive, I can't use the word I was going to use because it doesn't apply, but Chris would boast about his accomplishments. He was fun to listen to. Like, if you ever wonder where, like, I said this on my podcast recently, where Todd McFarlane and I got our boisterousness, we were taught by the generation before. John Byrne could not stop telling you how awesome he was, and Chris Claremont would be, well, I am also awesome, and these great things coming up, and he would start talking at the table about how, well, I get a piece of this character, and I get a piece of this character. I'm like, hot damn, if I get into the X-Men, I'm planting some trees, and I'm going to see if those trees grow into big trees, and, not everything grows. So it's like, where's the agreements? Here, okay, Cable, sign. Deadpool, sign. Shatterstar, sign. I'm doing it. One of these will stick. So I want to go back in time. If it was my Back to the Future, I'd just go back and give 1989 Rob a hug and go, the whole family says thank you. Oh, my gosh. You're going to have 3 kids, and you're going to put them all through comics. I mean, you're going to put them all through college via comics. You're also going to
That's what it'll say on your fucking epitaph. Rob Liefeld, he put everyone through comics.
So no, Coy, it's last year when the X-Men cartoon came back, X-Men '97. I mean, I knew when Cable was coming, and every week I'd be like, "Where's freaking Cable? Oh, he's finally here for 4 episodes." And that may be the best version of Cable ever. Was that? And so I get to see these toys take on these different lives. They're on the shelves in Target. There are, movies. I love it all. And I love that Chris Claremont put that, competitive spirit in me as a kid to go, oh, I can do that? And so I just, my love for comics will never die. I love them more every day because they're kind of my therapy.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm going to hand off so that Kevin can get a word in.
The word that I would get in.
Comics is that. Like a Stan Lee Ian slip is putting my family through comics.
Yeah. The thing I would say, if given the mic, as you've given the mic, is thank you. for the work, man. As a guy with a retail establishment, you put asses in seats. Like,
Thank you, sir.
You know, and that's
Same.
that's what pays the fucking rent. No, not really. Like, I don't do anything for you, but I do benefit from your work, and not in a parasitic way, but like I've had that comic book store 28 years, and I've sold a lot of your stuff, and then the stuff that you then grow up into other media chases them right back. So, you know, as a fan, naturally, I've enjoyed both of you dudes for years and whatnot. But as a fellow creative, we always have our own heads up our own asses. That's why it's impressive when somebody makes an impact. Like when somebody creates something that pulls you away from your own shit. Like that's how you know something's big. But aside from just being a creative and being able to share a stage with two wonderful creatives like you, as a guy who brick and mortar has to sell books, man, thank you. Like your work helps me pay the rent, and it's allowed me to keep that shit open for nearly 30 years.
I was first in line to get your Green Arrow in 2005, 2004.
I don't even remember.
It was. I'm like Kevin Smith's writing Green Arrow.
You did Green Arrow with Phil Hester. It was really cool.
Matt Wagner covers.
Introduced
the Wagner
Onomatopoeia guy. That was pretty cool.
And that Clerks, man, that prequel to Clerks you just put out is some of the most depraved pivots I've seen in comics. Those books would end and you'd feel like you needed a bath. I respected that.
Yeah, I just finished. It's actually been a comic book few months for me, and I've got most of my stuff coming out from the middle of the year on. I got like a big company crossover coming up. I don't want to announce it because they want to announce it, but it's one that I never saw coming. But I wrote it like in 2 nights. I loved it so much. Then I went back to work for one of the big two. I can't say what it is, but it's a big project, and they asked me to do a thing, a small thing in it, and I was delighted to be back, and it might lead to another thing. But then I've got 4 issues of Volume 3 of Quick Stops that I do for Dark Horse that come out at the end of the year. So from Comic-Con on, man, I'm like deeply entrenched in the world of comics.
Awesome.
I wish I could draw. All I could do is write, kids. So I always team up with talented people who can draw on shit like that.
I love that I hear Darth Vader over a comic.
I heard that, yeah.
I was like, yeah.
That's why I cut it off. I was like, I was being choked from a bar.
I guess that's it.
Shut the fuck up.
I thought
Let Liefeld speak.
That's Feige in the suit going like, do not talk about the big two. There's lasers. Actually, I have a movie question for you, though, because as much as I love all things fandom, Mallrats was the thing that legitimately told me there were others.
Yeah.
I had never heard someone
sweet.
talk like Brody. I literally felt, I hid my Spider-Man shirts under Abercrombie because I thought that was okay. But as I grew up, Brody was my beacon of light, and hearing those characters. But then Dogma came out, and there was this really insane moment of like, I'm actually connecting to, I didn't grow up Catholic, but now I feel like Catholics get me because they get Mallrats.
Right.
So it's this unifying thing, and I know Dogma 2 is finally a cookin'. I would love to know if there is any update, because I know the internet misquotes you. I want to actually quote you. What's going on with Dogma 2, man?
Before there's a Dogma 2, we have to deal with Dogma 1, which happily we get to do this year. So it's they haven't announced that yet either. But they're going to announce it soon because it's coming up. What are we in? February? Yeah, bless you. They've got COVID.
It's an outdoor venue.
Yeah, good point. So I haven't. They haven't said, but something very exciting is coming. If I fucking say
Just
stuff,
tell us.
I get,
Just tell us.
I can't.
Just tell us.
No one's listening.
Jason Muse's wife runs our company, and anytime I talk out of turn, she's like, "You ruin everything. Shut the fuck up." So. She said, and specifically before I came here, she was like, "Don't talk about Dogma," and I was like, "I won't." So that's as much as I could say.
I'm just going to text her now.
Yeah, hit her. She'll fucking tell you, no problem. But in terms of Brody, man, and Mallrats, in terms of like, hey, he was the voice, like a voice that you heard where you're like, oh shit, kind of like me. There was a time where Brody was scarce. Now the world is full of Brody.
Oh, the internet, dude.
Yeah.
We talked about this, like one of the first conversations we had was like Brody being my guiding light, and you were so sweet to go like, no, but you're nice. And like, it really stuck with me that is kind of what the internet's become, is the guy that goes, gatekeeping, this is mine.
Yeah.
And this is the opposite. Like, that's what I love about this community. And I do want to talk about, in that same vein, we're all actually fans of this stuff as well.
Yeah.
And again, this is a rare opportunity. I'm so excited for Fantastic Four and Superman. And
Yeah.
this is kind of a one-of-one moment where this is right before we're coming up on a zeitgeist shift for the big two. In 2008, there wasn't the conversation of like, I bet that Downey Jr. joint's going to do things. Like, this is actually the first time we can see a universe shift in real time.
Yeah.
With Fantastic Four's trailer, and then I want to talk about Superman, as people who have worked in these universes, What do you guys feel from that? And was there any moment of nerddom where you're like, oh, I haven't felt that in a while? Starting with Rob down the end.
No.
Done with it.
No, I mean, it's cool to see Galactus, you know?
Like, stole my answer.
Yeah. What else were you going to say?
No, that's it. That's it.
I hear this is. I'll give it up to him. Like there's so much excitement. At least they produce to me. It seems to be in the folks on the internet as well, over the idea of a Fantastic Four movie, that they've generated the idea that it's the first. Like, oh my God, it's the first time it's going to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But there've been 19 fucking Fantastic Four movies and stuff. But their marketing and the excitement that they're building around it and how, like, the look of it in terms of, like, you know, the kind of retro, futurist, quasi-futuristic look. And, like, I don't know if this starts a new phase or whatever the fuck, but, like, they are really making it feel like we've never seen this before. And, like, when they show, you know, a lot of time in the trailer showing off the Thing, like, first I was like, that's mind-bending. And I was like, I've seen things before. Really, what we should appreciate is fucking Herbie, man. Like, because that was, we've reached a world where they're like, throw Herbie in for the 12 people who remember and shit.
And to open the trailer with it. When does
Boy,
open with Herbie?
boy, Kevin and I are pulling rank on you here because there's no way you were alive. We are the age where they announced a Fantastic Four cartoon on NBC Saturday mornings, and you're like, okay, Reed, Sue, a robot,
Yeah.
where's Human Torch?
Yeah.
And there was a fan revolt. Herbie was like synonymous with, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And now you're like, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Herbie's in the movie. Like our generation.
Herbie
was like,
is our generation's Jar Jar.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's about to have his moment,
Yeah.
man.
I'll buy that toy. That toy will be on my shelf.
It's also funny because, correct me if I'm wrong, but Herbie was in the cartoon because they were worried kids were going to set themselves on fire.
Yeah. No, actually not true.
I read that. I believed it for the longest time.
That's what I thought as well. I just read it, but again, this is online, so take it with a grain of salt.
I believe it.
Exactly, 100%. They said that Human Torch was already sold off to a different project, so they couldn't include him. That's why.
Feels like
Herbie.
spin to me.
But I like the other one, which was like, we can't put a Human Torch on TV. Kids will light themselves
So
on
can
fire.
I just do this really quick? I got to tell this to a live audience. Okay, I've told this on my podcast. This is not a new story, but you're probably going to hear this for the first time. And my wife would be mortified. She doesn't listen. She would never hear this on my podcast. When I was a kid, Gene Simmons, Kiss, was the guy. Okay, Kiss is a rock band for all of you who just said, what is that? Okay, and he was the demon. And my dad was a Baptist minister, and my sister was allowed to hide Kiss records, and I would look at him in her room, but he would breathe fire on stage. And I read in one of the rock and roll magazines how he did it with kerosene. Well, we had a giant sandbox in my backyard, and I love the Human Torch. And don't do this at home. But the way this story ends is with my mom screaming through the kitchen, Robbie, no! I'm 9 years old. I go, I'll stand. My friend across the street showed me how to do it. He did it with his hand, and I said, I can do my whole arm. Kerosene liquid that you do on the barbecue from forearm to hand. Lit it. Holy shit, my arm is on fire. I am flipping out. And my mom screamed, and I dropped to the sandbox because I knew I could put it out. But I don't know why they were concerned about kids lighting them. I was already lighting myself on fire.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gene Simmons and Kiss. You showed me the way. I told Gene that story, and I think he was like, you're fucking crazy. I was 9.
I had a guy in my 10th grade art class that did that with rubber cement. They had to go to the hospital because it doesn't burn as quick as kerosene.
I also lost whatever hair I had on my arm. I did not understand.
This explains so many Deadpool moments.
Aren't you glad you brought up the Fantastic Four movie?
80s and 90s, everybody was setting themselves on fire.
So just for the record, Galactus, Herbie, set yourself on fire. That's what
These
this
are the
is.
log lines.
That's
These
what
are-
this is, Rod.
Now, pivoting to Superman, we have had also likewise Superman movies, but in the same vein, this does feel like a first. This does feel unprecedented. This trailer felt different to me in a way. I mean, I was a kid for Superman Returns, and it was referencing a film from before I was alive.
Right.
So this Superman film feels like a big actual first, and it's launching a universe. I'm wondering with you guys, having worked with these characters also in that universe, your experience of the trailer.
I love the trailer, but you know, I'm 54. I've been through a few Superman movies.
Amen.
And I love them all because the character will last forever for that reason of to hope. The idea that when everyone's running from the worst thing in the world, one person is going right at it. So that story will never grow tired. But we've seen this before. Like, and it's not even the beginning of a new universe because they told us the Blue Beetle was the beginning of the new universe, and then the cartoon series. So without all that baggage, it just looks like a strong fucking flick, and not like it looks better than this version of Superman or that. Somebody else, you know, as comic book readers and fans and whatnot, you're used to many different creatives handling the same character or title. So for me, I'm you know, it's like, all right, now we get to see what James Gunn's issue of Superman looks like. And I'm excited as fuck for that, but it doesn't feel like, oh my God, they've fucking reinvented sliced bread. Like, it's still the dude. Like, the one thing I will say is, holy shit, they put underwear back on him. And that does feel new.
Sliced bread. This is good wrapping on this sliced bread.
I hate that we had a period of time where the underwear was embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not embarrassing if we say, this is cool, look how cool this is.
Yeah.
And then everyone goes, oh, I guess it's cool.
Yeah.
It's the X-Men in black leather. It took so long to get out of. I think when we started making comic movies for everyone, we lost the way.
Who was I think it was Dave, was the guy's name who plays Corn Sweet?
David Cornsweat.
Really?
Cornsweat, yep.
Corn Sweat.
Corn Sweat.
Corn Sweat.
Yeah. Not
He's
Sweat
British,
Sweat.
man. They got weird last
I
names.
know. It's crazy. I read a thing where I think it was he the one that said this costume should have frivolity to it?
He basically said that I'm playing an alien that has powers that would terrify children. I need to be the one to make sure they're not scared.
I thought that was beautiful. The way he expressed it, I'm pretty sure he used the word frivolity. Maybe somebody else used it in place for him, but it should. And his rationale, like, was, you know, I've been reading this character, watching this character for years. Never occurred to me, and that's beautiful. The idea of, like, I have to make myself seem more friendly or, you know, not as frightening to whoever's going to encounter me. So the idea of, like, trunks, like the way a wrestler would wear them, and I think that was the parallel they made. I bought that 100%. And I was not one of those people that was like, take the underwear off and shit. But I hope that appeases everybody that didn't like the look of the underwear. It should be silly. All of this shit should be silly. Like, no... Please never listen to me. Obviously, I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm not very successful at what I do. But they keep making these Batman movies, and every time they're like, this one's the realest one yet. Oh, my God, this is what it would be like if it happened in the real world. And the closer you get to reality, the more that concept falls apart. Like, I watched The Batman in theaters the same night that I finished watching season 1 of Reacher. And I was like, the whole time I was like, why doesn't he just Reacher all these people? Like, why is he holding back? Why is he wearing a mask? Grow up! Like, all this shit. And I'm into this stuff. The more realistic you make it, for me, it falls apart. I like it to have an air of fantasy about it and frivolity. And the idea of those underwear up front tells you right up, like, this ain't fucking real. And it never will be. And that's why that's why, like, you don't see a bunch of people, and this is sad, but a bunch of people don't go like, I'm reading Policeman comics. You know what I'm saying? And policemen do the same fucking job, ostensibly, as a hero, we hope, and shit. So, but they'll read about somebody else who, like, puts on a different color and does kind of a similar job and whatnot. That's the fantasy element. We all want to be rescued. I don't give a shit what gender you are, man. We want to believe that in our darkest hour, someone will fucking drop from the sky and be like, stand back. And blow whoever we need blown, man. Like, so.
With the Funko Pop.
Yes. I love those shorts, man. I know this is not, you know, I'm not selling a crowd. Everyone here is convinced as well. But that's why I think it totally works, and that's why I liked seeing that element. That's why, again, with Fantastic Four, there's a throwback element to it that's exciting because there's been such a drive to the future and to, like, make things as realistic as possible because we have effects that can make it do so. But I like like throwing in crypto works for me in such a big way because I'm like, that's a comic book.
Yeah.
You know, like Man of Steel will make you believe that that shit could happen in real life because Zack Snyder posits it like a serious film. This version, they throw in the dog, and you're like, all right, this is definitely a comic book. This is definitely, like, going to be a story that I grew up kind of reading. And stuff.
Like opening with Herbie. It sets the tone in the opening
And there ain't
frames.
nothing wrong with any version of that. Like, I loved what Zack Snyder did. I love what everybody does when they step up to it, man, because it's watching any artist take their self-expression to a character that means as much to them as it means to me, the reader. Like any number of creators who step up, James Gunn could make a movie about anything. He don't need Superman, but he wanted his shot at that title, at that particular, and when I say title, I don't mean like the boxing title. The title, Superman, that character, because he's like, that character appeals to me. James is a hopeful guy, and that's a hopeful character. So I like that we're in the age now where it feels like they're going to let him be a little more comic booky. The comic book movies.
I think we've chipped away and earned it. I think now that it's societal,
like
we've gotten to the point where we can just accept a man in tights, and that's wonderful because we can have Wolverine in the yellow. We can have these big moments and swings. And speaking of a Dogma 2-esque question that might get someone in trouble, I would love to hear about Evangeline, if you can speak.
Yeah, I can't say anything about that. I can't. Evangeline is a really great title that I did in the 90s. I've revisited it several times, and it's about an angel. It's about a fallen angel who falls to earth, and she's definitely a fish out of water and doesn't understand why she's here, what she's doing here, and who she can trust, because there's so many fallen demons down here as well, and they could be sitting right next to you. They look like people in positions of power who may be making giant cuts in our industries and federal agencies. So I was fortunate enough that my buddy Simon Kinberg, who produced the Deadpool films and produced Days of Future Past and The Martian, he's fantastic, incredible. Long story short, very quick, he just said, "Hey, Rob, Margot Robbie would like to do this." I said, "Get the fuck here. That's not true." And then he said, "Hey, Olivia Wilde's going to direct it for what? What?" And then right before Thanksgiving a couple years ago, I'm like, "Luke, you can't stand there. You can't be in my room because I'm going to be on a call with Olivia Wilde and Margot Robbie." And my son's like, "Can I just kind of stand off camera?" And I'm like, "You need to leave my room, okay?" So look, it's fantastic. We hired an Oscar bullshit. Margot hired an Oscar-nominated writer. And he is handing the draft in, I think, in the next 2 weeks, and then
it's going to be good. I just started writing today, and I think I'm going to bring something to it. As a male with the male perspective.
And you know something's wrong when you go, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And she's like, "I love it." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to stop undermining myself." That's all I can say. Coy, thank you very much. Let's hear from the bearded wonder.
Again, the hype and passion for your characters, man. Always love. And
Appreciate
what
you.
you're doing right
Before
now.
I say anything, Coy, Kevin, Rob, you can see him too, right?
Yeah.
I was so alarmed when my periphery caught it, and I was like,
You should do a horror movie where he shows up and kills everyone at a show.
I feel like we're living it.
yeah. The worst time to have an acid flashback of my life on stage. Like, what is happening?
I looked up and saw it, and then I was like, no, I'm not gonna just ignore that and go back to the panel.
My innie and my outie were fracturing. If the
He wants you to dance.
Oh, we'll dance.
He's
By the
even
way,
scarier
that's the
standing.
one person here that's hotter than we are.
I know, yes.
for sure.
I'd love to talk about your Energon universe because
Sure.
what's happening there is so fascinating, blending these two iconic properties and the way it's going to scale. I was at the event you guys did for the G.I. Joe launch that actually played the original G.I. Joe movies in theaters. So a movie that never went to theaters, we all got to experience that acid trip like this. And it was such a great way to kick off the comic world, but it's also finding new fans. So I'd love to know what your experience has been meeting people that are new to Transformers, G.I. Joe, and like kind of shepherding in a new generation to these icons.
Yeah, it's been great because, I mean, these characters were born in the 80s. I mean, the original G.I. Joe, much older, but we're focusing on the aspects that came in the 80s. And they've been largely separate. IDW's done some things that have combined them. But what we're kind of doing is we're like building a cohesive shared universe around them akin to what Marvel does or what DC does. And it's great because there's thousands of characters at our disposal, and they all have these amazing connections that have been built by tons of writers and artists over many comic book lines and animated series and movies and things like that. And it's a lot of fun to just kind of, I mean, it's really like playing with toys in a different way. So it's like I'm now 46 years old, like playing with Transformers and G.I. Joe and getting together with a bunch of writers and artists and being like, what if we had this guy talk to this guy and then this happened, and if this guy's arm got ripped off and he put this other guy's arm on him, that'd be pretty cool. And it's just it's like the most stupid
how it should
fun.
be. That's how it
yeah,
should
it's so great.
So we're almost out of time, but I want to do a quick run through of two things that mean a lot to me, and that is the current books right now, because I feel like comic books are adapted, but actually going to the comic store is still weirdly a lost art. I'm reading like 50 to 70 comics a week, and everyone freaks out when I say those numbers, but there's so much out there. Yeah. So I'd love to hear what your favorite things, doesn't need to be present, but like anything you're reading right now that you're really loving, that you just love to give some flowers to. And also, this being the first of this type of con I've ever done. I do this for a living, but I've never done a charity con, especially in a place that I host a talk show. This is so strange. But I feel like you guys are in my house. It's so odd. Yeah. But I'd love to know... Welcome home. It's beautiful here. But I'd love to know some of your favorite con experiences, because you guys are all actual seasoned vets to a world that I feel like we just started letting other people into. Like Twilight brought in studios, but I feel like this whole new wave is we're kind of going back to the 90s. Cons are starting to feel like ours again, and I'm really loving that. This feels like, I don't know, I feel like I can talk about this stuff without being like, Spider-Man's this guy that got bit by a... So,
get out of here, movies and TV. Yeah. Please watch Invincible.
Yeah, please. It pays for the other stuff. I know it does.
It was number one this morning on my Amazon.
Was it really?
Come on.
Did we beat Reacher?
You're good.
So any comics...
I gotta check.
While Rob checks, any comics you're digging right now or anything you're reading right now you want to give some love to or in the last couple of years?
Batman 1989. It's been really enjoyable for somebody that loved that movie. That movie was a seminal flick in my development and growth. And so I thought it's cool what they're doing. And I'm jealous. I'm like, why didn't I pitch that? I wish I would have done it. And I like all the choices that they're making.
Billy D. Williams, Two-Face, like it's doing the sequel to and they did a Superman 78. It's great.
I'm going to go with, there's a book called Bug Wars that came out from Image Comics, and it's Jason Aaron, and how do you, it's, say the name.
Mahmoud Asrar.
Okay, he's done, I met him at a show a couple years ago. He was doing Conan for Marvel. Long and the short of it is, it's a brand new independent comic that has got production values and art and story that is as good as anything that you're going to get from the majors. It's the best of what independent comics should be, and I'm excited for both of them. It's really wild. It's like fantasy. It's like Game of Thrones in your backyard, in between the blades of grass. Bug Wars, grab it. I don't get a piece of it. I have nothing to do with it. It's awesome.
There's a new book called Seasons it's by Rick Remender and Paul Azaceta. I worked with Paul on a book called Outcast. Very jealous of Rick getting to work with him. He's doing like the work of his career on this book. It's really awesome. I highly recommend it. This guy right here is doing a thing called Last Blood that he's selling direct on Whatnot. That's like an exploration of all his 90s characters. You got your Prophet in there, some Bloodstrike Brigade. It's just super awesome and like very nostalgic for me. I really enjoy it. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff coming out right now.
And the last question for me will be con experiences, because it is summer camp for me. I never got to go to summer camp, and this always feels like that, but meeting my favorite people and then creators. Do you guys have any specific con memories that keep bringing you back? I know the lines get long and hands cramp, but are there any things that make it all worth it every time?
I watched George Romero go to the bathroom one time. Like from afar, I saw him walk through the door, and I went, God damn, it's fucking George Romero. Then I left. But it's stuff like that happens all the time.
It feels like a dream, but for real, like you'll look left and right and it'll be a different reality.
Yeah.
You go.
No, you go.
Okay, so here's the deal. When you get to these comic conventions and comic book creators, of which Kevin is and has done so many comic books in addition to all these great movies, and dude, we need more Red State. That's my favorite thing you've ever done. Red State.
Sweet.
I've told him that too.
The night that it came out on video deal, I was like, bye. Dude, more. And Tusk, flip me out. Theater, opening night, midnight screening. Okay,
stop with the self-deprecating, man. You're a fucking legend. Yeah.
When we get together, we as comic book people view comic book people maybe more special than, like, the reason I'm saying this is, when X-Force #1 came out in 1991, there was a show in LA, right here at the LA Convention Center, and they put myself and Mike Mignola of Hellboy on stage with Jack Kirby. Wow. And we didn't say anything because we were on either side of him going, what the, it's Jack! And I had met Jack and known Jack and eventually would end up at Jack's house, which is awesome. But we just hung on his every word, and I have never met anybody, and I've had the good fortune of breaking bread, meeting with Mr. Steven Spielberg. I don't put him anywhere close to Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby was magic incarnate. He was miracles, rainbows, unicorns, and that is like just watching him. And that's where I get my famous line. He told everyone, I have an unlimited budget on my paper. It's my pencil and my imagination, and I can make anything for any budget. And I'm like, whoa! And that has inspired me my whole career. I'm done.
A contemporary of Jack's, Mr. Stan Lee, man. He made an appearance in a movie we did 30 years ago called Mallrats. And so every con I went to after that, I would see Stan. And Mallrats, like, aged well, but didn't work out when it came out. Flopped at the box office. And when a movie flops, it's kind of like, you know, when Jesus gets arrested and all the apostles are like, gonna go scattering, and people are like, hey, you knew that guy. Like, I don't know that guy at all, man. And then a cock crows and shit like that. So in that world, like, when a movie doesn't work, people just, like, scatter. Stan was the opposite. Stan would always come up to me and be like, Kevin, when are we doing another movie? And I'm like, the last one didn't work and shit. So, I mean, years later at one point, he came over and he was like, Kev, I just read an article online where they compared all the box office grosses of movies I've been in with Will Smith's, and I've made more money. And I was like, congratulations. And he goes, the really funny thing is, though, you look at all the movies I've done, and they're all movies that made a lot of money. And then there's one that's way down at the bottom, and it jumps back up. So Stan was at the con. This was, let me see, we did, I want to say 97 or 98. And we had done enough shit where they started, like, giving us a booth, me and